Hi everyone, welcome back to A Maker Studios YouTube channel. My name is Lianep and I'm so excited that you are here with us today. Normally you'll find me on my own YouTube channel, DIY Beauty on Purpose, where you would find DIY home decor all on a budget. Today's DIY is easy and actually very simple. Anyone can make. We're only using a few products, so let's go over those products and let's get started. First item that we are going to be using is this cutting board that I actually got at the Target dollar spot. It was $5. It's mostly decorative. I wouldn't use it for actually cutting board, and this is why we're going to be updating it and making it a little bit more custom. It does have these cute little legs on the back, which can serve then as a little serving board. It could also be a sign that you can put horizontally, and it could also be a vertical sign, and I think it's really cute, especially for a kitchen decor. So that's what we're going to be updating today. The mesh stencil that I'm going to be using is one of these. This one was recently sent to me by A Maker Studio, and they have some beautiful fonts, some beautiful designs. They are all scripture based, which is my absolute favorite. And let me just show you really quick. If you've never worked with mesh stencils, they are easy to work with, and A Maker Studios just makes it absolutely stunning. So here's what it looks like. It's kind of like a sticker, so it has a backing to it, and then the actual stencil has a sticky part to it that you can actually reuse even after washing the stencil. You can use the stencil like this and leave the whole set together, and maybe just tape around the design that you want, or you can also cut around pieces as you need, and it's really easy. Then you wash with water and remove the excess ink or paint, and then you can store back into the little envelope that it came in. It's really easy to use, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use yet. I'll have to decide, but I'm leaning towards Rooted in Him or Blessed with Jeremiah 17:7. So it'll be one of those two, but we'll decide when the time comes. I'm also going to be using A Maker Studios wax. This is their dark antiquing wax. Never used this one before. I'm excited to use it and give it a try. I'm going to have a little paintbrush, a rag. I'm also going to be using Preaching to the Choir, A Maker Studios chalk art. It's like the paste that you would want to use for your mesh stencil. And then I'm also going to be using a squeegee and possibly a little bowl to put it in, but maybe not. But I think that's it. So we're going to get everything settled and we're going to go and get started. Although the cutting board is actually in pretty good shape, it's brand new, I've never used it, I do want to sand it down just a little bit. I just want to prep the surface enough where it's going to be perfectly smooth and ready for the mesh stencil and the chalk art. So this is a 220 grit sandpaper. Is very, very light. It has hardly any coarseness to it, but it does sand down and makes it very, very smooth. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'm just swiping it across, and I'm also keeping on the same direction as the grain is going. If I do it on the opposite direction, you may see some scratch lines, and we don't want that. So we want to keep it going on the same direction as the grain is. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of the sides too. Then we want to make sure that you dust it really well because you want the stencil to stick as good as possible. So I'm going to also just wipe it with a rag. See, a little bit of that finish came off, so that's good. I think it lightened up the wood tone too, which made it look a little bit more of what I want to see. Okay. we'll wipe it again when we're getting ready to do the stencil. But first, I want to turn it around and we're going to work on the legs. So I want to darken up the legs a little bit, and that is why I'm going to be using the antiquing wax. Again, I've never used it before, so I'm not sure how dark it's going to be, and I'm looking forward to it, but we'll just see how it goes. Now, I want to keep it as clean as possible, so I am going to tape around the leg just a little bit. This is so that just peace of mind for me. It'll allow me to just have a little bit more freedom when applying the antiquing wax, but you don't have to do this. It's so easy because it's a square. So I'm just gonna place it all around. Just like that. If you are new to this channel, or if you're watching for the first time, introduce yourself in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. We love meeting new people, and we're glad that you're here. And if you are returning, of course, you can also say hi to us in a comment and just also tell us where you're watching from. It's always nice seeing where people are watching from. All right, almost done. Okay, now that we have all the legs nicely protected, it's time to start waxing them. All right, so essentially what I'm doing is I am using the wax as a stain. Now, usually a dark antiquing wax you would want to use over a painted surface and that has been sealed, and this will add a very cool antiquing look. It'll darken up, it'll darken up a lot of the texture that is on it and details, and that is basically what it's used for. But I have used other antiquing waxes to stain wood, and we're gonna see how this one works with it. I'm excited to try it. All right, so we're just gonna squeeze some right there. I'm also gonna put on some gloves just to protect my manicure a little bit. All right. That's better. And I have a little tiny just rag that I'm going to use to wipe off the excess, and then I have the brush that I'm going to apply it with. It's a beautiful tone. See how much better it is having that tape there, and even if it gets a little bit in there, it's okay, but at least most of it would be nice and clean, and it'll look professional. I may keep this one, but I may sell it in my booth, so I want to make sure that it looks as professional and clean as possible. All right. Normally I would kind of let it sit for a little bit. Well, let's see how it looks after just applying it and removing it. It's a beautiful tone, isn't it? It looks like the legs have a different texture on the front than on the sides and the back. So it got darker on one side and lighter on the other, but it's okay. It still has a beautiful darker tone that looks stunning. Okay, what I'm going to try to do, maybe hopefully to even them out, is I'm going to add a second coat just on the parts that are lighter, and then let it sit while I do the rest of the legs, and maybe that'll darken it up a little bit. So So we're just gonna let it sit for until I finish all the legs, and then wipe it off. All right, let me add more. It has a paste-like consistency instead of a very liquidy consistency that I'm used to, but I actually like this because you're not at risk of it like spilling or dripping on whatever surface you're working on. So I'm just gonna start now applying the antiquing wax on the rest of the legs. And I'm not gonna wipe until I am done. A brush this size works really well with these legs, with the size of the legs. It's actually the perfect size for them. And this is just what I'm, the surface that I'm working with on this cutting board particularly. But if you're using it as a stain in any other surface, it may work differently. So you just gonna have to try it, maybe even try it in a smaller area to begin with to see how it'll work, if it's the color you want. You can also, if it's a wood surface that you're staining of course, then you can also sand it down and remove it if you don't like it. But so far I really like it. Or you can also let it dry and then paint over it. All right, I am done. Soak that. Now I'm going to use my rag, and I think I started here, so I'm going to remove that one first. It did darken up a little bit more by letting it sit a little longer, so that's good. All right, do the rest. Very easy DIY, and you can find these little decorative boards anywhere. Actually, you know who has like a ton of cutting board, but they're actually like real cutting boards, not just decorative, is At Home. Or sorry, not At Home, Home Goods. That's who has a ton. They have an entire section of cutting boards that you can use for decorative purposes. They have them in all shapes. And you can also use them as real cutting boards. I actually got several from there and gifted them for, I think it was Christmas maybe. But yeah, so there's a thought for you, an idea. All right, I think we're done. I'm gonna take my gloves off because they just get so hot. Okay, and we're just gonna remove the tape because we are done with that. Isn't it pretty? So it darkened it up just a little bit, that it looks just light or darker than the top, which is lighter, and that's the look that I was going for. You can also, like I said, you can also paint the legs if you have a cutting board similar to this, but or you can leave them as is. All right, we're gonna remove these. And I got a little bit of stain there, so I'm going to try to sand it down a bit. If not, no big deal. It's fine. There you go. There you go. So that took care of that. Okay. So they are going to be, or continuing to dry, but we can turn it over and start working on the top while they're drying. So once again, I'm going to wipe down the surface just in case it got any dust or residue from the table. I think that's good. All right, so now onto the stencil. I as I mentioned earlier, you can either leave it as is. If you like to just keep it in a whole piece, that's absolutely fine. You can just grab tape, masking tape, or any painter's tape, and just tape around your design to make sure that it's easier to work with. Or you can also cut them. I like to cut them myself because they're just easier to just handle, and they're just more manageable. So I think I'm gonna do the rooted. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna cut around it. All right, so let me tell you what I'm looking for here. Because you can use this as a serving board, you can also use it as a sign facing this way, or you can use it as a sign facing this way. I thought it'd be great to put it like this. That way it looks good. It just looks vertical when it's this way. If you have it this way, it's at the bottom. And if it's a serving board, then you still have it here to show it. All right, I am going to be using the Preaching to the Choir. I think this color, it's just like a black, and I think it's gonna look good in contrast with the lighter wood tone. I could also use white. I think that will look very pretty, but I'm leaning towards the black one, so that's what I'm gonna use. That's what it looks like. It just has like a, it's a dark paste, and it's wonderful to work with because it's not runny, and it's just easy to work with. And okay, so here's the stencil. We're just going to remove it from the back. So now you have the stickiness. All right, so we're just going to put it here as straight as possible. So this is why I think it's easier to cut them, because in this case, if I was working with the entire mesh stencil, and it would have just covered the entire cutting board, and it would have been hard where I was putting it. I just think it's more manageable using smaller pieces like these. All right, so I have it on there, and I'm just gonna go over it just to make sure that it is nicely stuck on there. So what I do is I just normally grab a little bit from like that. That should be plenty, but if not, we'll grab more. And then we will start squeezing it. So easy to work with. All right, so I have plenty left over. I'm just going to scrape it right inside the container again. And it'll go a long way. Like one of these, it'll last you so long. Such good products. All right, so now it's time to reveal it. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? It cannot get any more perfect than this. Look at that. Stunning. I love. It has a printed look to it. It looks like it's been stamped on it professionally. It's just beautiful. Think about if you want to use this for your business, if you sell on Etsy, if you sell at a booth, or maybe online or at a store, whatever, or maybe just to gift them as a gift. Just custom, beautiful messages. I love them. All right, I'm gonna let this dry for a quick minute. I'm gonna seal everything, and then we'll be done. All right, so I'm out here on my deck, and I'm going to be spraying it with this top coat. I came outside because it does have a strong smell, and it just drives us crazy. But I'm out here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna spray it and seal it. That way it's not gonna smear on me, and it's gonna be protected, but it's still gonna be decorative. I wouldn't put any raw food or anything on it. If it's going to be like a serving board, I would just put them in like little individual containers. But so I'm just going to give it a few coats of this and then let it dry. All right, friends, you're going to have to let me know what you think of this super cute decorative cutting board. I am obsessed at how beautiful this stencil looks on this cutting board. I I mean, I've always loved their stencils, but this really looks so good. I love it. But you're gonna have to let us know what you think. Let us know in the comment. Have you ever tried A Maker Studios products? Do you want to try them? And what would you do with them? Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so yet. They post every single week, tons of inspiration. You're gonna learn so much. And also don't forget to visit my YouTube channel, DIY Beauty on Purpose. And hopefully you love what you see there and join our YouTube family as well. And also don't forget to check out the description box. There are links there to all of these products where you can find them directly from A Maker Studio. So check them out. I'll see you later. Have fun creating and have a blessed day. Bye.